Hey there from the KUOW newsroom. This is Seattle Now. I'm Patricia Murphy with a roundup of today's top stories. It's Thursday, July 10th. King County Assessor John Wilson announced today that he's suspending his campaign for county executive. Wilson's been under investigation for allegedly violating a restraining order. He was arrested and booked into jail last week for investigation of stalking his ex-fiancée. The King County Council and other elected officials have called on Wilson to step down from the county executive race. Today, in a written statement, Wilson says he's suspending his campaign for county executive to remove distractions from personal matters that may be affecting discussions about issues facing the county. Washington is bracing for more hungry families now that President Donald Trump's budget bill has been signed into law. Representative Susan DelBene was in Arlington today and heard from families who rely on SNAP, a federal program that provides food assistance to low-income families. DelBene says the average benefit is about $6 a day.
My mom was talking about how it just allowed her to buy milk to help feed her son. This is about as fundamental as it gets, making sure people in our communities have healthy, nutritious food to get by.
According to the nonpartisan group Center on Budget and Policy Priorities, more than 888,000 Washington residents receive SNAP benefits. More than 60% of them are families with children. DelBene says the cuts will put more strain on local food banks who are already struggling to fulfill greater demands for food. More than 2,000 solid waste employees extended a multi-state strike today into the Seattle area against Republic Services. The Teamsters Union says the workers are either actively on strike or are honoring picket lines set in other U.S. cities. They've joined a growing nationwide garbage pickup strike, arguing for better pay. Republic Services has suspended garbage pickup for many customers in Bellevue, Kent, Edmonds, Linwood, and Renton, according to the Seattle Times. The company says it will collect double the materials after the strike ends. Seattle Public Utilities says it's affecting the Republic Services facility in Seattle that processes recycling, but that customers are not expected to feel the effects. And now an update on the wildfire and drought situation here in Washington. Several roads are now closed within the Olympic National Forest as fire crews try to control the Bear Gulch fire near Lake Cushman. National Forest Road 2400 is closed at milepost 10.5, and National Forest Road 2451 is closed at the Copper Creek trailhead. The human-caused fire was reported on Sunday and has now burned through 415 acres. There are currently no evacuation orders in effect. In response to the fire and drought conditions, new campfire restrictions will also take effect in the Olympic National Forest and Olympic National Park starting at midnight tonight. Backcountry dispersed area campfires and charcoal grills are no longer allowed, and campers will be required to keep all campfires to fire rings. The new rules also apply to Olympic National Park's coastal beaches and to the Quinault and Hoh rainforests. Park officials say the new restrictions are a result of a dry spring which left forest vegetation parched and vulnerable to stray embers. Speaking of the dry spring, Washington State's summer climate continues to trend drier and warmer. New data from the Washington State Climate Office finds last month was the third driest June ever recorded in Washington. It was also the driest June since 1940. Last month, temperatures were 3 degrees above normal June weather in Washington. They ranged from 1 degree above normal in parts of western Washington to as much as 6 degrees above normal in eastern Washington. Climatologists are concerned about what the increased drought could mean for the rest of the summer. Sean Barnes is officially Seattle's new police chief. He was sworn in yesterday at the Northwest African American Museum, where he outlined his priorities for the department.
Crime prevention, community engagement, employee safety and wellness, recruitment and retention, and most importantly, continuous improvement. Those are the priorities that will move the Seattle Police Department forward.
That audio courtesy of King 5 News. Seattle Mayor Bruce Harrell praised Barnes for the work he's already done since becoming the interim chief back in January. He said overall crime has dropped since Barnes' arrival. Chief Barnes will lead a discussion and share his vision for the city tonight at Seattle's first Summer Community Safety Forum. It starts at 6 at the Rainier Community Center. It's the first of 7 planned meetings across the city. The next one is July 15th at Magnuson Community Center. If you want to attend, you'll need to reserve a spot, so check out the city's website for more information. A legal challenge to plans for building more housing in Seattle's Soto neighborhood can move forward. A King County judge rejected an effort to kill the lawsuit. The Port of Seattle is fighting recent zoning changes that would allow up to 990 new housing units in the area around Seattle stadiums. They say the added density would disrupt the neighborhood's freight and industrial activities. The city and developer Chris Hansen had asked the judge to throw out the challenge, arguing that the new units are badly needed to address the region's housing shortage. The city green-lit the plan in March, and the port brought its court challenge soon after. New murals on sidewalks and empty storefronts in Seattle's downtown core are part of an effort to attract more people to an area that's become a hotspot for drug activity. KNKX arts and culture reporter Freddie Menares tells us more.
Seattle artist Kathleen Warren rolls a layer of bright green paint onto a piece of black plywood that's covering an empty storefront at the intersection of 3rd Avenue and Pike Street. And it doesn't take long for someone to float a compliment her way.
Thanks for making it pretty.
Thank you for saying thank you.
Well, it's just been black for so long, and really...
We're happy to do it.
Yeah.
Warren and her business partners are painting murals of flowers, leaves, and sea creatures at this intersection and at 3rd Avenue and Pine Street. It's an effort to make the area more inviting, and Warren says the response from people passing by has been mostly positive.
We've had a lot of gratitude given to us from the people who live downtown, who are just like, it's really nice to see investment coming back to this area because it was such a challenging time after COVID happened. So I think there's like some pride that's coming out of it.
After the start of the pandemic, businesses vacated storefronts in this area. Those spaces became a target for graffiti and open drug use, and those problems persist today. Jennifer Casillas is with the Downtown Seattle Association. She says the goal with these murals is to change people's perception of the area.
These types of actions that we do demonstrate that people care about these spaces, that we're in it for the long haul, and that the more positivity that comes into these spaces, the better for everyone, tourists, residents, workers alike.
City officials hope the murals make others feel the same as Warren. Meanwhile, foot traffic in downtown Seattle is nearly back to pre-pandemic levels. In Seattle, I'm Freddie Menares.
And now for our feature story about the upcoming city attorney election. 4 years ago, Ann Davison's victory in the race for Seattle City Attorney was seen as an upset, fueled by voter distress over drug use and petty crime. Now, Davison is facing 3 challengers in her quest for a second term, and in their bids to unseat her, they're banking on Seattle voters' opposition to the Trump administration. Amy Radel explains.
In 2020, Davison went public with her disillusionment with the local Democratic Party, which she accused of failing to address social disorder on the streets of Seattle. After a failed bid for lieutenant governor as a Republican, she won her next race to become Seattle City Attorney. She's seeking re-election this year, and Davison says party labels just aren't relevant for this office.
This is a nonpartisan race, and I'm a problem solver.
Davison says one of her biggest accomplishments was reducing the impact of so-called high utilizers, over 100 people who generated thousands of misdemeanor criminal referrals. Those people weren't getting booked into jail when she took office, and she worked to change that. Davison says staying focused on local conditions is the best way to increase public safety.
I think that's what I've done because it certainly is not how it was in 2021. And I think most people feel it has gotten better.
But in a city that has seen vigorous protests against Republican President Donald Trump, Davison's 3 Democratic opponents say her party affiliation is relevant to voters.
And some of the priorities and things that the current Republican city attorney has done is completely out of line with our values here.
That's Erica Evans at a voter forum in Seattle's Seward Park neighborhood in June. Evans has worked as a prosecutor in the city attorney's office and more recently at the federal level. She contrasts Davison's switching parties in 2020 with her own job the next year. Evans helped prosecute participants in the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol after Trump failed to win re-election.
I did the initial appearance in the Tacoma federal courthouse on 2 insurrectionists in our district. Having someone join at a time like that, during an administration like that, it's really disgraceful.
Evans says she also disagrees with Davison's decision to pull out of an alternative to prosecution known as community court, which Davison said was ineffective. Another candidate, legal aid attorney Rory O'Sullivan, has defended clients from eviction and foreclosure. He objects to Davison's efforts to ban people from areas of prostitution and drug use. If elected, O'Sullivan says he'd work to more aggressively challenge the Trump administration on immigration enforcement and the withholding of federal dollars.
This is a place where the city attorney's office can and should be stepping in to file a lawsuit to demand that money get released. This is something that our state attorney general, Nick Brown, has been doing from day one.
Davison may have identified as a Republican, but she joined other blue cities in lawsuits over frozen federal grants related to World Cup preparations next summer and over Trump's attempt to penalize cities that don't cooperate on federal immigration enforcement. But her third challenger, public defender Nathan Rouse, says Davison's efforts to defend sanctuary cities fall short.
The city joined several weeks after the fact when a different city led the way. We need to be leading on these issues because the city is looked to as an example for how to fight back against Trump.
Davison condemns the federal government's withholding of congressional funding as incomprehensible and bizarre. But she doesn't call Trump out by name, and she says it's not the role of her office to brainstorm additional lawsuits.
We really are not the creative space for that. We are here to defend what the policymakers have designed from a programmatic standpoint. The laws here of the city, that's my job, and I will defend those fully with the full weight of my office.
Any impact of Davison's reluctance to wade into national politics is unclear. City records indicate both she and Erica Evans have raised the maximum amount of money allowed under Seattle's Democracy Voucher program. The top 2 candidates in the August 5th primary will move on to the general election in November. Amy Radel, KUOW News.
Next time on Seattle Now, it's Casual Friday. Our panel discusses what looks like a crack in the glass floor of the Space Needle. It's not all it's cracked up to be, but it's still bad news if you're afraid of heights.
The last time I went up there, which again was pre-glass floor, I was getting nervous in the elevator ride going up there.
Well, and to be fair now, there's a glass elevator, so you don't want to be anywhere near the Space Needle anymore.
Are you kidding me?
There's no hope for you, Andrew. You've got to tackle it from jump. That's all for today from the KUOW Newsroom in Seattle. Our producer is Brooklyn Jamerson Flowers, and I'm Patricia Murphy. Seattle Now and KUOW are members of the NPR network. See you later.